time for session 4. Last session, you guys started off with some strange dreams, namely Adhira did. You did a little bit of talking to your fellow year 2s. Mostly it was our first big combat against the miasmic monster, and a little bit of working out how staggering and teamwork worked. You guys came out on top along with help from your instructor. We had some insight into the state of mind of some of the students regarding an incident that seems to have happened last year involving a very dangerous miasmic monster called the Scarlet Hawkmoth. And then I believe we ended off with you guys going to bed. This morning, when you wake up, it is a slower morning. Mostly the last few days, like, other students have been up around the same time as you. Some of you who wake up early would get into the communal area to find that it is devoid of anyone. Eventually, you would see Tamara would come out. She's got an acoustic guitar in hand and a little, like, page of notes that she's looking through. You see a woman that you've not seen before. Looks to be of, like, from our world, like an Indian descent. She's in the breakfast area, currently making herself some breakfast. You do not see Seth this morning. Verity you don't see as well. Noctis is here, but he seems to be, like, outside the front window basically, and is looking at some plants outside. It is everyone's free day except for yours. You have an appointment at the front gates at midday, but the morning, however, you can do as you wish. So I don't know if anyone has anything they want to kick off with.
This woman, does she seem to be from the Laments?
No, but it is a culture that you have seen before from being from Laments. She looks like she's from the Trade Republics. So sometimes you would see merchants in Laments that look like Ambrita does, who is the person who is making breakfast, who would say hello to you. She was training 3T's forces when you arrived, along with Louis, who is another member of Verity's class.
So you're like a teacher?
No. Sometimes when you get to your next year, you might have tasks that are a little unusual. Working with the military or otherwise, sometimes as part of your training.
I see. More responsibilities, then?
Yes, more representing the school than anything. I think the headmistress did it as a favor to the captain that we were assisting at the time. Perhaps they knew each other. I didn't think to ask.
Well, from what I hear of the headmistress, she wouldn't be one to tell.
I don't know. I think that depends on the situation. Things can get complicated, obviously. Us being both independent and working under the Council of Judges makes things difficult at times.
I just mean she seems a bit of a charming enigma right now. Especially to me, who has never met her.
I don't think I've ever met anyone who's ever disliked her, if that's what you mean. But she's definitely not got friends everywhere.
I bet. Running a place like this. A bit, well, in competition with Immortus?
She nods and then she says, plus she has a personal connection to every Empress Knight that comes through here in some way or another. It is difficult to trust someone in that regard if you think that they have influence with some of the most powerful warriors, well, at least in Empress.
Maybe. I need to meet her for myself.
I'm sure you will. But don't rush it. Still only, what, your first week?
Not even that. About only halfway through.
She nods and says, well, at least you're settling in if you've got a curiosity like that.
Well, I won't keep you. I need to be on my way.
She nods. She offers you, she's eating some yogurt with like stuff in it, basically grains and honey and things like that. She puts it in front of you.
Adhira will eagerly accept.
She'll sit and eat next to you.
Oh.
But Clara, that makes you an asshole.
Crunch, crunch.
You can't eat an apple.
I can't help that the produce is fresh.
Anyone ask about anything in particular they want to do that morning?
Not that one in particular. Just eating essentially a very protein-focused breakfast. Looking through the calories and the mostly proteins on. Trying to build up actual muscle.
What the fuck do you call what you have already?
I'm toned. I'm not like a muscle mountain.
Says the man built like an upside down trapezoid. Yeah, Uther, anything from you?
I think I would like to do the thing I talked about thinking about doing, which is using some of the older newspapers to see about a pattern in the hawk moth appearances.
Yeah, give me an investigation check if you're heading to the library that morning.
One second, I'm fiddling with my sheet stuff. It didn't do what I wanted it to do. Investigation. Oh, wait. Turn that off. Turn that off. Fuck.
Heading to the library, there's like a big, I don't know how to describe this thing. It's kind of like a Rolodex, but if oh god, does everyone know what a Rolodex is? It's like a turning wheel of business cards or contact information, I guess is the best way I can describe it.
Yeah, I'm old enough.
Cool. Then it's set into the wall with sheets that you can slide in from the left and right hand side with levers and pulleys that then rotates through different issues and different pages of the newspaper. And if you like push forward on a lever, it rotates backwards in time, and then a different lever rotates backwards or forwards in page count. So it sort of assembles a 2-leaf page of a newspaper in front of you by you manipulating the different mechanical aspects of like it's kind of like a pulley and lever system sort of in front of you.
Oh, this is just overcomplicated.
Yeah, it's designed to preserve the pages, but also allow them to be accessible. Instead of being viewed like through a projector screen or something like that, the paper is basically built from these glass panels in front of you that are put down and then filtered and flipped through. You start winding back time. The thing you can't do with this is like search a term. You can't be like Scarlet Hawkmoth search. So you're just like flicking backwards. You go back to roughly a year ago, like thinking, well, maybe there'll be something about the attack in general. On a 7 investigation, you find an entry that reads. You find the entry that reads in particular to the attack that took the teammate of Seth and other students as well, their lives in that attack. It looks like the Hawkmoth descended from above onto a moving train, burst through the marquee field, because some trains will generate a marquee field as they like move through the wastes, and then essentially like landed through the ceiling, melted its way through the metal in an instant, and then burst a chamber full of like a carriage full of civilians, but several trainee and C rank EKs put themselves in the blast radius in order to save the lives of the people in the train. As far as you can tell from the newspaper, a lot of details have been hidden from the Herald. There are bits and pieces of information that you're like, why didn't they mention this or this or this? It's a very poetic description of what happened. It's not very factual in a sense as you're reading through it, Uther. They've been fed something as far as like it's what you're sort of getting, that they weren't given every detail of the attack. It does state that there were luckily a pair of A-rank EKs on board that managed to fight the creature back, and then it fled. The entire attack took less than a minute overall before it had landed. It killed 3 students, 2 C-rank EKs, and left. Gone. Back up into the sky.
But no description of where along the track. Did it say which track at the least?
Northbound track, but at the very edge of the waste, just as it was crossing into the wastes.
Okay. I'll kind of just grab my little, well, not little, I guess, map and just put a dot for that. And keep flipping through papers for a little bit longer.
Okay. So you spend your morning looking through newspapers, looking to see anything of interest that you can find. Anyone else? Or just a chill Saturday morning?
I think for now, definitely. I'm just relaxed that I have the taunt. Like I'm while eating my breakfast, I'm slightly look at the tonfa that I have and inspect it for any issues that might come up. But overall, I'm just relaxed that I have it now. Work can come later.
Very good. As you sit there, Tamara will come over to you, Clara, and just quietly say, sorry you got wrapped up in that last night. Seth mentioned you talked to him this morning before he left. I just thank you. That's all.
It was not a problem. I was just worried. It's hard to be on the outside looking in, because I understand what he means. But I understand why you'd want to keep him safe from his own actions as well. It's a tough thing to manage, so you don't need to apologize.
He's, I know you're busy with Axel this evening, but he's gone to an exhibition, oil paintings, some artist that goes around the wastes and meets the people that manage to survive out there. I can't remember what it's called, something about faces of Zemes, real faces of Zemes. But if you get a chance, talk to him about it. He's not talking to me too easily at the moment, but just be nice to know someone is talking to him.
Yeah, I'll remember that. Hopefully we get home at a reasonable hour today. Never know if you're having to do something on your day off.
It does sound like a pain. Hopefully you at least have your Sunday.
We'll see. I'm not going to hold my breath.
And she heads back to the sofa and starts just playing out a little tune that she's working on as she sits down with a piece of sheet music and like writing down bits and pieces as she's going. Are you guys... Oh, go on.
This Rolodex, old newspapers and whatnot,
Mm-hmm.
would I be able to try and find anything about Liang Averon, the Empress Knight who fielded me?
Yeah, you certainly could, if you wanted to go there and sort of look that up. They do also have some, like, specifically written records about EKs. So, like, you wouldn't exactly have to use the Rolodex. If you went there and looked for her name, like, amongst the library, there's, like, a section of the library that is dedicated to sort of chronicling the actions of certain EKs.
Yeah. I wanna try and look in there.
Give me an investigation check. Not a very well chronicled EK as far as you can tell at Hero. Obviously, a lot of that is left to the much higher ranked EKs. Immortus has the sort of motto, you're not dead if you're not forgotten, which means that most of them end up getting a majority of the chronicling. It turns out that perhaps the EK that recruited you went to East Academy. Maybe you knew that, maybe you didn't. Maybe some part of you already knew it. What you do find is her graduation records and some little bits of information about her life. I don't know if there was anything in particular you were looking for, whether it was like notable achievements or just things about how they fight, or...
A little bit of everything. Just more of Adhira's base curiosity for the people that she has met.
You do find her EK title, which is Wingless Dragon.
Oh, Adhira loves that. That puts a smile on her face. But obviously nothing more into why she's called that.
The only thing you can tell is that she has a series of there must be either something with her weapon or that the gear that she uses that allows her to mimic different elemental dragon breaths, like that she can shoot cold breath or ice breath, or at least what the notes are describing as breath. It could be that she has a gun that fires a compressed cone of cold or something like that. But yeah, she seems to be able to put out a bunch of different cone elemental attacks. Wingless Dragon.
Alright, that's all from Adhira.
If no one else has anything, we can jump to meeting Axel at the gates of the academy.
Absolutely.
Okay. Your group approaches the gates. You see Axel there. He has a big duffel bag over one shoulder that seems to be packed full of something. And then over his other shoulder is his absolutely huge hexagonal staff, but it's been collapsed down to just be the two ends, and then there's a tiny wooden section in the middle. So his staff is it's about the size of a 90s stereo boombox, the smaller Sony style boomboxes. It's about that big that he has in one hand. and the duffel bag over his shoulder as he watches you approach. Says, alright, you ready for today?
Sure.
As ready as we can ever be.
I see you lost the gauntlets, Dafer. How are you feeling? You seemed nervous when I mentioned it yesterday.
I am still none too happy. I assume I'm supposed to chalk this up under prepare for the unpreparable.
Well, I mean, unless you sleep in that, which I wouldn't put it past you, Dafer. Do you sleep in your gauntlets?
I hadn't considered it yet. You make me consider it.
Well,
Unconsiderate.
follow me. I'll fill you in as best I can as we walk. He sort of idly chats. Go on.
If you don't mind my asking, I just vaguely gesture at the duffel bag. Is that something we should be aware of? By the way, is that duffel bag like super full? Is it super empty?
It's super full. It looks heavy, and it's sort of like jiggling around as he walks.
Okay, but it's not moving on its own, so it doesn't look like he has a...
This doesn't have like a person in there or anything like that. No. He's not casually carrying around a corpse or anything.
I wouldn't put it past him, to be honest.
It's not the weirdest thing. I think he's probably had in the bag.
Vaguely gesturing at the duffel bag. Is that something we should be aware of?
Well, I told you all to leave your weapons behind, so I didn't want to leave you completely defenseless. He kind of inclines his head at the bag and says, "This has something a little bit more concealable for each of you, but effective if need be."
Alright. That seems... that's neat. Let's see what's in there.
Not here. Not in public. It gives you a half smile.
I look around us, I see essentially nobody, and then I just shrug.
He will walk you into like the central I2 area, and then goes off in a direction that I don't think most of you would have been before. He's heading to the south of I2 as he's walking. He says, "We're doing this for an investigator by the name of Rudolph. He's a old friend. He believes that a criminal group known as the Glomide, they usually operate on the opposite side of the city, has decided to try and move into the stacks. The stacks mostly police themselves. Glome-eyed, as in...
Oh, okay, that makes far more sense.
Gotcha. And Rudolph,
Like the Elden Ring.
Rudolph, yeah, like the gloaming queen, I think it is in Elden Ring. But yeah, Rudolph with a PH. Says, the stacks mostly police themselves. They're made up of a series of smaller gangs, and the peacekeepers don't go in. But the gangs keep the stacks mostly compliant and organized, and to the visitors to I2 from foreign nations, it is peaceful, and that is what the city prioritizes. The Glomide, however, are a more violent gang. They have had ties to a series of quite high-profile crimes, including murder, violence in the streets, utilization of spirits for their crimes as well.
What kind of spirits?
Devils, mostly, summoned to this plane in corporeal form via the use of ritual blood runes.
What do I know about blood runes, given that runes are more my area of expertise?
You give me an Arcana check.
Okay. Oh, sheet, my sheet, will you open? You will, that is fantastic.
So, blood runes are one of those things where it's not something that most cultures will teach or would describe as taboo because it's quite dangerous. But the basic premise of why it's dangerous, what you would know, Dafer, is the warnings you were given about making runes out of blood and or carving shapes into blood in general, I guess, or making shapes out of blood. Is that it weakens the fabric between your reality and the reality of the rune, and therefore the thing that is called by the rune. It is a way to accidentally let things into our existence that should not be here. Obviously, when used correctly, it allows you to bring something that you want here that shouldn't be here, but sometimes something else can slip through as well.
Mm-hmm. So basically, these are the types of runes where you don't just use 2, you use 200, and 198 of them are specifying various aspects of some kind of contract in order to, nail down all kinds of ambiguities.
Yes, or to describe exactly, to an extreme precision what you want to happen, because anything else could go horribly wrong. Axel will go on and say, Rudolph believes that they have begun targeting younger individuals in the district. The Glomide are trying to recruit from either other gangs or individuals that are vulnerable to earning a little extra money on the side. This isn't normal for the Glomide. They are a group that regards themselves as elite. Grabbing members from a general pool of individuals among the populace, that's not their usual modus operandi, as it were. So, here you are, young people that we can see whether they'll take the bait and offer you some work. But in general, if you can go around and ask if people around here have seen anyone suspicious, anyone offering work, that you're looking for work, anything like that, use your, I don't know, streetwise. He sort of looks over at you, Adhira. Maybe your
As a wink.
knowledge of making yourself look exploitable, perhaps, is a best way of describing what Rudolph is asking of you. I'll be nearby, and there are undercover peacekeepers stationed around the stacks in a general sense, but moving in is not a wise choice, so they will be outside. Support will be available, but it won't be there quickly.
Is there any sign we can give the peacekeepers so that they know that, we're students undercover and that I don't get locked up for association?
Well, you can either keep your EK pass on you. Obviously, at a glance, it looks the same as any other identity card. If you would rather that not the case, we'll talk to Rudolph about it when we reach him. He should be in one of the vehicles parked over here. He gestures at the street where there are several delivery truck sort of looking things and other vehicles along the street that are parked up here, but he seems to be gesturing a little bit further and around the corner.
As Axel has made this description on how he wants us to go about this, basically using our quote-unquote street smarts. Dafer very much gives him a frowning look, like a very questioning frowning look. Looks around at the party, like very just looking kind of lost on how the hell this is supposed to go down, because the hell is street smarts? And like, yeah, essentially just that. Looking mostly, I think, so far to Clara, Atira, and Uther, to like, do you have any idea how this is supposed to go down? I'm here to hit things.
It's okay. Just keep that look on your face. You look lost.
Exploitable, even.
It's true. I'm just imagining like Adhira with a fishing rod dangling Dafer off a building in front of some like just like, go on, he's scared.
I imagine she has to like use her shell to like plant herself. Like the
It's like
weight's too much.
The whole gang holding onto the rod just to hold him up.
Just slowly spinning in place.
1 second. No, there's no way it's the whole gang. It's just Clara, Adhira, and Uther, and Caliban just stands besides there snacking on some, I don't know, avocado toast.
Just watching this happen as Adhira slides slowly towards the edge, yeah.
Help! Help!
I got a bite! Over the edge. Led around the corner, you find yourself not at like an unmarked delivery van or like some kind of secret CIA, FBI like
This
mobile
is
base.
so shady.
But it's nothing like that. It is a very rich, like high arched wheel Magitech Rolls Royce style vehicle. A gentleman who has a pocket watch out takes a look at the pocket watch, flicks it closed as you guys are approaching, and takes a look over. Blonde hair, red irises, wearing a sort of like blazer over the top of an office patterned shirt, navy blue tie, and on the blazer is a symbol, a golden star around a blue sapphire at the center. Except it's not a sapphire; it's more the crystal, the crystalline crystal at the center of the badge. He looks at Axel and says, "You never used to be late." But Axel simply shrugs and says, "I was told this was a favor, not a mission. And besides, I've got a lot more on my plate these days." He nods. He steps over towards you, the students, and puts out a hand for someone who might take it. Says, "My name's Rudolph. I'm an investigator for Empress City. It's a pleasure to meet the class that has him so busy."
Clara will at
I
least
would-
shake his head.
Same. Question though to his general appearance. You described what he is wearing. Does he look fairly well put together wearing all this, or does the stuff that he is wearing look like he's been essentially doing an Axel and like wearing that shit for like a week straight?
He looks
Axel.
he looks more like a model than he would a member of a police force to you. He looks more like someone who cared more about the fashion than whether it would assist in his investigation today. We'll put it that way.
Valid.
He says, "Quite a disparate bunch. You must be Caliban."
You would be correct.
Your parents advised that I not include you in this operation, said it would be a danger to you. Do you feel endangered, Caliban?
He just looks around. No.
I'll pass on your personal recommendation to your parents after this.
Investigator Rudolph Ostharlik.
That would be me.
Him saying his name, does this seem to be a similar way of how Clara's name works?
I guess Adhira, you wouldn't really know. He doesn't give you the same sort of accent or energy as Clara, I would say.
All I do know is that him feeling the need to give out the middle name like that means he thinks he is very important. He believes it.
Unless that's just his name.
It's a title.
It's an indicator.
Is there? What do you know about the indicatives between the in-between names? Like, I have Vaughn, Clara has Lux, Rudolph has Ost.
So, give me a history check with advantage, Caliban.
Alrighty.
Rock.
16. Ost is an old, basically like an indicator that told someone from Empress City that despite the fact they live here in Empress City, they're originally from the East Trade cities. And these are the port towns where like the sushi and fish dishes come from. They were the first places that Empress City sort of took under its wing. It was a way in very old times of the city to basically say, I'm actually not from around here, but I was born here despite being from not around here. Like, we're talking, his family traces back to first generation immigrants into the city, basically. A lot of families dropped this line, but families that found station within the city sort of kept it. So Ost to you, Caliban, reads, my family came to this city from the east and we became quite important. Not noble, but somewhere in it, working within their circles.
Gotcha. Huh. Interesting.
He looks at you all and says, Axel has explained what I would like you to do, I presume.
In more
Come
to
detail.
Yeah, the long or short of it, I'm still a little bit confused on what we're supposed to do if we manage to get picked up. How long do you want us to go with it?
He reaches into his pocket and pulls out a series of what look like old-timey coins, no longer used within Empress City, but still, there are a few of them about. He passes one out to each of you, and as it kind of touches across your skin, you feel the faint tingle of magical energy to it. He says, drop this on the ground, make it look like an accident, throw it as hard as you want, whatever the situation calls for. I'll be able to hear it, no matter how far away you drop it. As long as it impacts into something, you could throw it at the wall or a ceiling as well if for some reason the ground doesn't work. If you're in a situation where you would like us to move in or otherwise know your location, do so. From there, myself and Axel will make our way to your position. We'll never be too far away in a general sense, but if you feel things are getting a little dangerous, do so.
Quite clever.
I am an investigator, after all. Your teacher opens up a duffel bag filled with concealable small, like, snub pistols, knives, other weapons that could be easily slipped into a pocket or into, like, a sock or whatever you would like. as he like opens up a bag full of just guns and knives and batons and things like that.
I'm always quite confident in my fists, but backup is always good. Never know what
I
you
can
might say.
see why we didn't open this earlier.
Are there like... Dayford does not do guns. He does not have the necessary dexterity. Is there something that looks like you can just throw it? Like shit that's just heavy, essentially. That you can clock it someone's
I
head.
don't think there'd be like a shot put or anything like that in the bag, but there are knuckle dusters or something like that you could grab.
I mean, knuckle dusters would be nice for like the offhand attack. It's more like if I...
In terms
I
of
can
a
read
strength-based ranged attack in this duffel bag, I'm sorry to say you would not find.
No javelins.
Could you not just throw a knife as hard as you can?
Technically, yeah. I guess because it's versatile, it's the higher of... So you could throw a knife using strength.
What do we all have specifically? Specifically,
In terms of like what weapons you normally have, or do you mean like is there like a specific weapon picked out for you, Caliban? Is that
I mean, like what we have in front of us.
Oh, there's like an array of small concealable pistols, knives, switchblades, things like that. Like a lot of weapons in there.
Yeah, I'm just good. Yeah, I'm taking a gun.
Okay.
And you're taking 2 guns.
Oh, knife and gun. Knife gun.
Come on. Commence a virtuous mission.
You hear Rudolph and Axel having an offhanded jabbing question about whether he's got paperwork for all of those weapons, and Axel just saying yes. Like, just
Insight check.
give me
Insight
an
check.
insight check.
Is that the voice of a liar?
You get the feeling that he actually might have paperwork for all of them, with the way that he sort of saw the question coming from Rudolph.
Oh, okay.
I'm thinking like paperwork, as in this is all pulled from an evidence locker.
They're just going right back into this.
Rudolph will look at the group as you're arming yourselves and say, "It is not uncommon for people in the stacks to carry weapons, mostly not firearms, but they take care of their problems internally. But the group that I'm worried about, I would call them an invasive species to the area. They are not equipped to deal with the Glowmide. I'm concerned. I think that something big is happening, and I would like you to help me confirm whether I am being paranoid or not. That's my main concern. If we don't get anything, I'm happy to. That's what I'll say before you head out."
So our task is mostly to confirm your suspicions, see if they are as out of the order as you suspect, and I don't know, anything else bonus.
Exactly. If you can find a location they're operating from, names, descriptions, kinds of work that's being sort of popping up, strange people moving around. The Glowmide are a ostentatious bunch, very, very odd individuals. We have tried several times to get their leader to stick to a jail cell, but so far, no luck. So mostly we're stuck firefighting, so here we are.
Now, is it the common knowledge on the street that they are using spirits, or is that something that people on the know only know?
I think that a lot of people know but that doesn't mean they understand what that means when it happens. There's a difference between someone telling you they use spirits and seeing it appear in front of you and what it can do.
As long as I know what a rumor would carry, I don't want to mention something and they clue in that I know more than I should.
It is information that the public would have.
I am going to take the time to hide my vessel on me in a more concealed spot than my hip. Not make it like a target for a thief.
You obviously watch him clock that, like, very easily. He notices you shifting the vessel after that question. Your eyes meet, and in that moment, Adhira, even without an insight check, you know that he understands what that vessel is, what's in there, and why you asked that question.
I hold his look for a little bit and then just give him a nod and break eye contact.
Does anyone have any further questions before you head into, well, dangerous territory?
It makes sense to move mostly in groups, no? I think it might make sense to just go in groups of 2 or 3. Sounds
Whatever
sensible.
you think makes you most approachable or otherwise able to do the job. I don't care how you do it, I just care that it gets done. Oh, and that you're safe, of course.
I mean, I like Dayford just looks at the group. That's how we did it. 2 people are 1, and 1 are none. So it makes sense for us. How shall we split this? Farah and I and Adhira, Caliban, and Uther in the other.
Do you think that maybe 3 might be a crowd?
For now, I don't think it matters. We're gonna have to adjust when we get out there and see what's going on anyway.
True.
I don't think there's anything we can do to make Caliban look like he belongs out here.
I'm not so sure. Could I walk up to Caliban, give an appraising eye, and start to ruffle his features in a way that doesn't scream noble?
You want to give him a... You want to, like, drag him backwards through a bush to make him look like he doesn't bathe every 6 seconds? Like, what's the...
Like, more of just how he wears his clothes and hair. Like, if I could remove something tied around his waist.
like,
something...
yeah, sort of like...
You want to remove something tied around?
Yeah, you like... go on, give me a, I think a deception check would work here. I'd also take... Maybe insight would work as well.
Can I help in some way then?
Yeah, if you want to assist in this, you can. I guess it depends on what...
Like, a good hoodie looks real nice when worn correctly, but when you tie it around your waist, it's like, oh, different.
Tourist.
19.
19 working together. You guys, like... He has this, like... Caliban, your hair's, like, immaculate, right? Like, no hair out of place. Let me just double check that with you. Like, in a general sense, you wake up every morning, you brush for, like, an hour and a half, I presume. Is that the...
God.
What is he, a horse?
He's a thoroughbred.
Yes. He's got the pedigree.
Yeah.
If he breaks his leg, we have to put him down.
Clara cracks a knuckle.
I assume that's correct, Caliban. You're, like, immaculate, yeah, pristine, nothing out of place.
Yes.
In which case, you watch as Adhira comes up in front of you, Uther from behind, and your hair gets ruffled, your shirt sort of get, like, the button, the top one gets unpopped, they take off, like, the over jacket that you're wearing and tie it around your waist, and, like, and just sort of ruffle your outfit, your hair, your general appearance sort of shifts from something that is immaculate and pristine to something a little bit more, I don't know, a little bit more bohemian in a sense, I guess, is probably the best way I could describe.
We gotta make you look like you're trying to be all that, not that you know you're all that.
Yeah, I think that's a good way of putting it too. Now you've got that sort of Rudolph-ish look where it looks like you woke up early to get ready as opposed to rolling out of bed pristine.
Who out of the group is enjoying this the most?
Me. It's definitely Clara.
And here knows that.
Is there a reflection I can look at myself in?
Yeah, there's like windows up like on the buildings nearby. You could look at yourself in the reflection of the very nice like chrome job on the fancy car that Rudolph has.
Looks at himself. Looks at Clara. Laugh it off.
I mean, how shocked is Caliban? Is it like internally, no? Or what's going through his head?
Well, he just wakes up immaculate, so you're going out of your way to make him look bad. So you had to put more effort to make him look bad, and then no effort to look good.
I guess what you're saying is Caliban derives a sense of smug satisfaction from even this.
Truly unbelievable.
Sweeps hair back.
Cockatoo style.
That's right.
Rudolph nods and says, not bad at all. I'd have gone with a fake nose or something, but that'll do.
Don't have the materials on hand, and I'm sure he doesn't want us to break his nose right here, right now, so...
I'd have to deal with a lot of paperwork if you did. Please try not to.
Okay,
Why do we have
I
to pay
guess
this
let's get cracking.
Alright, heading into the district. This section of I-2, the buildings here are taller, joined together, so you get like proper blocks and rows of buildings. Used to be factories, and they've got that Victorian red brick to them, covered and speckled with black dots from back when the revolution of like industry within the city had just begun. To begin with, the soot stacks on top of these buildings, they would not, basically they would put out fumes, and because the marquee barrier above would prevent their leaving, these fumes would gather within the city, and it stained sections of the city with this sort of like blackish color, which is why sometimes referred to as the soot stacks, sometimes referred to just as the stacks. As the revolution sort of continued, the actual chimneys were built taller and taller until the pollution was deposited outside the city, outside of the marquee field. And eventually, at a certain point, people discovered that you could put marquee filters into the chimneys themselves, and ever since, pollution hasn't been a problem in the city, as all industry is regulated through the sort of like output materials go through these filters, and actually now all of the like smog and smoke is turned into fresh drinking water using transmutation crystals, basically. So the byproduct of industry now is sold as bottled water and other things like that within the city. It is a Saturday, so there are a lot of people about in general. People milling about their lives. The windows are open in the stacks, and sort of people are talking sort of to their neighbors sat in the windowsill looking, you know, to the left and right of them. You get a few glances coming your way as you're walking through the streets. You also notice that some of the homes here are like the old school version of public houses where you would just open up your house to the public and then serve them food and drink there. Some of the houses here double as restaurants and drinking establishments. The living room windows are open and chairs have been pushed up to them and people are serving drinks through the window, almost like a perpetual block party, in a sense that, like, there are no shops and restaurants here. It's just people's houses that they open up for the weekend.
Huh.
How do you want to go about this? Are you just sort of trying to absorb the ambience, or are you splitting up, sticking together?
I think for now, Daver is just sticking to Clara and has no idea what to do.
Just glued to her, unsure of anything.
She seems like she has an idea.
Yeah, I'm gonna. Is there like a house that doubles up as like a bar or a
Yes.
tea room or something like that?
Yeah, so there are a couple of bars you've seen. One place that isn't so much a tea room, but more like a coffee house.
Yeah, I'm gonna head there.
Okay. Heading into the house itself, like walking up the steps and into the living room, there are some people sat on the sofa in this house. They've got coffee cups in front of them, sort of half drank. You can smell someone baking from the kitchen in the back. There are a group of young kids in one corner that are playing with like blocks, like building block style things, not quite Lego, but closer to like a wooden Lego, like a big chunky wooden Lego is probably the best way I could describe these blocks they're playing with. As you head in, no one seems to like. It's kind of like a wooden Duplo. Yeah, I think that's a good way of saying it. When you head in, no one like asks you for your order or anything like that, but you do notice someone in there dressed with like a pinny and their usual outfit. Teenage girl, a little bit younger than you, seems to be going around and talking to people who are asking for like cups of coffee and things like that. Yeah.
Does it look like a wait to be seated or choose a seat yourself?
It looks like a choose your seat yourself. There's like an eclectic collection of furniture that's probably been brought from upstairs down into the living room area. And you can also see there's a way out into their back garden where people are sat as well.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna lead Data through and we'll head to the garden.
Heading out to the garden, you find a table to sit at. After a couple of beats, this girl makes her way over to you and says, "Don't recognize your faces. Welcome to Tabbins."
Thank you. I've brought my friend here. He's visiting. We've heard this is quite a nice place.
Well, that's lovely. Where are you visiting from?
I've come to visit from Dulokop. Quite alright.
Long way indeed. All that way for a cup of coffee. I hope you have at least other plans as well, but happy to take your order.
Yes. I'll just take a normal coffee. Cream and sugar, though, please.
Can do. And you?
What's any of your stronger stuff? Do you have double or triple espresso?
We certainly could put that together for you. I mean, there's not really a menu, as it were. You just ask, and then we'll see if we can do it.
A double espresso, if possible. Thank you.
All right, well, that'll wake you up. And then she takes a couple of gold from you guys. If you've got your, obviously one of you or both of you can pay. It's not much. And then she comes back not long after with 2 shots of espresso in 2 different little coffee shop glasses, and then the like a big coffee cup and the cream pot and little like sugar spoon and stuff set as she puts it all out in front of you. And she says, hopefully that's all to your liking.
Thank you. Oh, by the way,
Mm-hmm.
while I'm here, I've heard that there's some cool opportunities for young people in this area of town. One of my friends came through and said someone offered her a job. I'm studying at the moment, so I'm a little light on money. Do you know anything about that? People come to tea rooms all the time to talk about business.
She shakes a hand and says, you don't want to get involved with any of that. If you're looking for work, we're actually missing someone here. I'd be happy to recommend you.
Wait, what do you mean you wouldn't get involved with that?
Well, I've heard that some of those jobs keep people out quite late, and you seem to be studying, so I'm sure you have deadlines and other things you need to be up for in the morning. So better to get a job here and serve some coffee. And I've never seen you here before, but people here are quite welcoming.
I mean, sure, but I don't mind being out late.
Give me an insight check, Clara.
16.
You watch her scramble for excuses in her brain as she stands there for a moment. You get the feeling that she's too concerned for you to answer your question. In a sense, is sort of what you're seeing. She's trying to keep you safe.
Sam.
Yes, Dave.
I feel like this seems kind of obvious. Like she's walking around the issue.
Mm-hmm.
So Dafer would just, I think, tap the waitress on the side, like making it seem like not like somewhat covertly, and give her a questioning look. Maybe hint at one of the hidden knives that Clara hid on his person, to indicate that he has, let's say, the necessary skill set to not get shanked.
Give me a performance check, I think.
Okay. Yeah, let's. Yeah, I look like a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
I just look too stupid.
She looks at you. She smiles and she says, "I'm not sure how things work where you're from, but trust me, things around here get much worse than you can imagine sometimes. Look, you're visiting the city. Enjoy the best parts of it. Don't get tangled up in the rest."
Okay, if you say so.
She'll nod to you and then leave you to your coffee.
Clara's gonna lean over the table. Well, I think that was sufficiently loud of a scene. If any of them are around here looking to pounce on people, I expect they'll come to see us as we're leaving. Maybe next time don't try and pull a knife next to a waitress, though.
Dafer is just deep in thought, trying to ponder if he fucked up.
No, don't. It's not that bad,
I guess
but
at
like,
least I look like a muscle.
sure. I mean, you have lots of muscles. That's the same, I think.
While those
Yeah,
two...
convincing people also have my strength suit.
While those two grab...
David just tries off with, I shut up.
Okay. While those two grab a coffee, is there anything the rest of the group is up to? Adhira, Uther, and Caliban.
I think Adhira would take the lead, going down the streets.
So like a little bit ahead of the others, or sort of just more?
Yeah, a bit ahead where they're still within her sight, but definitely putting distance between them. Just kind of letting her instincts guide her to trouble.
Give me an insight check. Trouble isn't really what you're guided to in this moment, Atira. As you sort of take a deep breath and let yourself immerse in this area, there is a bustle to this location that reminds you of some of the underground bazaars, the markets, the crowding of the bodies, the way you could move through, dip a hand in someone's pocket, and walk off with what you need to survive for the day. And in that moment, you realize there must be someone here who lives like you used to. There must be someone amongst this crowd that is sort of wrapped up in that sort of world. It leads you to sort of look around, and you do notice a few people moving with the right sort of grace and speed and determination through the crowds. Though at a glance, you don't spot anyone where you're like, that's obviously someone who's sort of wrapped up in a seedier side of the city, but it sort of leads your mind that way.
I'm going to casually lean against one of the walls and let the others catch up to me.
Okay. They do so.
This is a busy street, and here's where you would find a lot of people who, let's say, live in hardship. They take what they need to, and they might have a few, how you say, fingers in pies, if they're in dire enough straits. I say we split up here, try to be as inconspicuous as we can, but stay in the same area so as not to lose each other, and just see what kind of people we can run into.
So, do you guys want to fan out through the area and just give me some perception checks to see if you can spot anyone that sort of is operating on the sly in the area?
Yeah, sure.
Right. Each of you give me a perception check.
Alrighty.
How low can these dice go?
No.
Yeah.
Mine
yeah.
and Uther.
Hey!
Caliban, give me an insight check.
This is fucking painful.
3 more rounds.
Caliban, as you're spreading out, one very busy gentleman sort of bumps into you on the way through. He apologizes quite swiftly, says, I didn't see you there amongst the crowd. Sorry, my friend.
Wallet's gone.
What do you want to do, Caliban?
Did I like take like a quick like glance at his appearance, or was he just like some normal guy?
Do you know what? He has an appearance that in the moment seemed normal to you, but afterwards it's kind of difficult to describe it as you're thinking about it. You're like, a guy stubble a little taller than me. You're like, it's kind of nondescript individual.
Just very nondescript.
Yeah. You're like, when you looked at him, you weren't like, wow, this person's nondescript. Just seemed like a normal person, you know what I mean?
You're saying he was too generic?
I guess that's, for you, Caliban, that might be the best way of describing it, yeah. You're like, wow, a generic commoner.
He had that peasant look about him, you know?
I'm just gonna play up Caliban's the Caliban mode just a little bit, just walking away, and then immediately just checks his pockets just to make sure that his wallet's there.
Checking your wallet and your card and everything like that is there. What you do find to be missing is the coin that you were given earlier.
The coin.
Yeah, it seems like you took the coin. He's not out of sight as well. You can still see him moving through the crowd, Caliban.
I'm just gonna checking the ground real quick just to make sure that it wasn't dropped first.
Yeah, looking around, you don't see it dropped, and also you've not been descended upon by a SWAT team, which is what would likely happen should the coin impact a surface.
Just gonna follow after him.
Uther, Adhira, you watch Caliban suddenly start moving through the crowd with intent and purpose, starting to like follow someone or something.
We did not catch the actual act, did we?
Sadly, no. On a, what did we roll? 6, 7, and 9? No, you didn't see the moment. I guess you were sort of more occupied on your local environment to be also keeping an eye on Caliban at that same moment.
I am going to start trailing after Caliban, gonna try and catch up with him.
It is time for one of my favorite holdover mechanics from 4E. I'm going to give you guys a skill challenge.
Oh boy.
I want you.
Yes.
I want you to tell me how you are going to assist in tracking this person through the crowd, and then we can talk about what skill that might be, and you're going to roll a check for me. A certain amount of successes. Excellent, great. You follow him perfectly. If it's, a little bit more in the middle, successes and fails, you follow him, but something goes wrong. And if it's all failures, I'm afraid you lose him in the crowd or some other negative consequence of those failures. That's generally how the skill challenge works. I'm pretty sure I've used them before with most of you, but I think actually Roach, I don't know if you ever would have come across that before, but yeah. You can tell me in any order you want. The only rule is you can't use the same skill twice, and try not to use a similar skill as someone else. So if someone uses Insight, wait like a round before someone else uses Insight. Is basically how I would say it. Is there anyone who wants to volunteer how they want to assist tracking this person down or following them through the street?
I have a question.
Yes.
Actually, for Caliban specifically. How tall is Caliban?
I want to say either 5'8" to 5'10".
So not the hugest person, but we can see in a crowd.
Also,
Okay.
the shock of white hair.
Yeah, that probably is the biggest assistance.
Not a shock, more like a blowing fucking mane.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, there, calm down.
Well, right now my stealth is my highest stat, so I don't know how I could spin that into...
Stealth would let you slip through the crowd, I would say. So if you wanted to use stealth to sort of get through the crowd in a more efficient manner.
Alright then, that'll be... unless Adhira would like to use stealth for something. That sounded like a no.
Yeah, I think you're clean to use a stealth check.
I'm just trying to roll above a 10, man.
Go for it.
Just trying to roll above a 10.
Oh my god.
Uther, you see the movement, you're like, well, either Caliban has something or he has spotted some sort of nobles only diner. Either way, you think I'll better follow him. You slip into the crowd and very much mask your presence, able to get between gaps and sort of maneuver yourself closer. That is one success. Either Caliban or Adhero. How would you want to assist?
Outside of the crowd, could I try and spot who who Caliban might be chasing via insight? You know, getting that look into who probably just robbed him.
Yeah, give me an insight check.
Failure. Looking
Around, your issue is not knowing Caliban in this moment, Adhira. You think, well, I wouldn't look directly at the person I'm following, but would Caliban? And then you sort of get lost in thinking about how Caliban operates as you're following behind. So that's one success and one failure. Caliban, how are you following this individual?
As previously stated before, and having been witnessed by others, Caliban is not exactly the most subtle. So,
No.
probably tracking, looking around the crowd, seeing where crowds are the lightest and the least grouped up, looking for a beeline straight towards the person.
So is that an athletics check to just barge your way through?
No, more just trying to look for an opening and just
so perception
his way through.
Sounds like perception to me.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, you turn your head on a swivel, you're like, well, he's going that way, but actually this seems to be the, weakest area of resistance. Caliban, you sort of just pick that direction, start walking, barging through. You notice that he seems to pick up that you're following in this moment, and your barging through a weaker point sort of corrals him off towards some of the side alleys, which is, background to you, Uther. You see that Caliban has sort of herded them off of the main thoroughfare at this point, and therefore you'll have to leave the crowd here, Uther, or find some other way of tracking. I'm not sure what kind of skill you'd like to use next.
Is there rooftop access?
No, but as a shell user, that doesn't mean much to you.
Could I scramble up onto a higher vantage point?
Yeah, I would say either athletics or acrobatics. Either one I'm fine with.
Yoink. Watch me flub.
You managed to get up there, but by the time you're up there, they've already turned a couple of corners, Uther. I'm afraid that is one failure, but you do manage to get your higher vantage point. Adhira, you see this, you see Caliban corral them off one corner, you see Uther trying to get to some high ground, but there's no easy way to do so. You see Uther get up there, but how would you like to assist in this moment in following the individual? We're at 2 successes and 2 failures. Unsure if you're muted, Capri.
I was in fact muted. I can't use acrobatics. I was gonna try and quickly get over to the next block using the ghost step.
What I will say is, if there's a certain resource you want to burn, say for example you want to cast invisibility or longstrider, depending on how potent it is in that situation, I might allow that to be a success, or otherwise give you advantage on the check that you will make.
Can I burn the Wraith step? to try and cut through over to the next block.
Yeah, absolutely. Now we just need to work out. I think that might be survival, with you sort of working out what direction you think they would go, and then you picking that direction to sort of cut through. So you can give me survival with advantage using Wraith Step.
Advantage is going to really help here.
14 is a success. Just. Adhira, you close your eyes for a moment. You see the way that they veered off. You see the way that Uther was going. And in your head, you're like, they're going to want to take as many turns as quickly as possible. And in this moment, Adhira, you dead sprint at a wall that is sort of separating a back alley from the main street. In an instant, become intangible, slip through the wall, appear, and you get there just in time to watch them sort of take this corner. They're like maybe 80 feet in front of you and starting to break out into a jog. I just need one more check from Caliban. You've corralled this person away. You just watched Adhira sprint at a wall and then slip through it. And you can see Uther's got some high ground, Caliban. Is there anything else you want to add to the situation?
Is there any way to possibly, like, take another route and maybe just cut him off?
Like, go all the way around? I think if you wanted to get that distance in a short period of time, athletics would help, because obviously you could sprint round.
Is there any, like, shorter things that I could possibly, like, I guess parkour my way through?
Acrobatics has been used this go round, so I would say I'd rather avoid acrobatics, but if there is some way that you can, if you've got like the jump spell or some other feature that you'd like to use to sort of allow yourself this approach, I would let you.
I guess I'll have to go with athletics then.
Okay, athletics it is.
Oh boy, that's like one of my worst stats. Fuck.
8, you do have your boost shell, so if you wanted to burn a hit dice to add to the 8, you could. Would let you roll a d10 to add.
To add how much?
It's 1d10, right? Because that's your hit dice. I think it is a d10.
Okay.
6 to 10 is a success. The DC is 14.
Fine, I'll burn a hit die. That's 1d10.
Yeah, 1d10. Unfortunate. As you use this sort of like reserve of energy from the shell for the first time, Caliban, you end up sort of barging through a cluster of people as the burst of speed kind of takes you over, Caliban. You sort of like slam a shoulder in someone, send them sort of spinning. You do manage to get round, but I think in this moment, I'm going to limit the scene to Adhira and Uther. Uther, you are able to sort of jump from rooftop to rooftop. You can see that Adhira is closing on this individual. Adhira, he's running from you, but there's no way he's gonna outpace you, right? Like you're faster than he is. I don't know whether you want to try and do something to catch up to him quicker, or otherwise trap him before he kind of gets a few more turns on you, or
I'll burn a point of spirit for dash.
Okay. You see him heading towards a door. It looks like maybe the back door of a house or something like that. As he's getting closer, he's like reaching out from the handle. That spirit burns through you, and all of a sudden you are another 40 foot or whatever your movement speed is closer. Do you want to like grab hold of him? Are you hitting him? Like, how do you want to deal with him in this moment?
I would like to pick his pocket. I don't know what was taken, but I'm going to take something from him.
Give me a sleight of hand. And I will say with advantage, because he didn't expect you to suddenly appear next to him. He's got a baggy pocket on the right hand side, a baggy pocket on the left hand side, and he's also wearing a jacket with what you think might be an inside pocket. I'll let you pick two of these pockets, the inside pocket and the left and right pocket on his trousers. You can pick two of them.
Inside and left.
So the inside pocket of the jacket and the left pocket of his trousers is running through the door.
Mm-hmm.
You reach in, pull out, you take the coin from the inside pocket, and from his left-hand pocket, you take what appears to be a folded up piece of paper, just a simple scrap note as far as you can tell as you pull it out. In this moment, you're so quick, so light, he doesn't notice. He dashes through the door thinking he's gotten away scot-free, Atira. Uther, I think from above, you see Atira take stuff from him. I don't know whether, Uther, you're content with letting him slip away at this point, or whether you'd like to keep tailing him at all.
I think I would get around to see if he comes out of this building, but I'm also wanting to look to see if we are being followed while following him. But I don't know if I can do quote-unquote both of those things.
Being on top of the building, able to sort of like look in a circle around yourself, I think you can do both. Give me a perception check.
Okay. This is gonna hurt.
11? You don't see him exit the building whatsoever. You also don't think you're being followed, and you do see Caliban coming around as well, moving it with quite some hustle now that the sort of like energy from the shell is under control from Caliban. He manages to get to the front of the building, and at that point, Caliban, you would see Uther on top and Atira. Is there anything in particular you want to do in this moment?
I will just get out of sight and kind of look over my plunder. Quickly realize that Caliban let his coin get stolen from him, and sigh. What does the scrap of paper say?
It's a bunch of gobbledygook to you as you're reading it. It looks like a series of... It's number, comma, two letters, two numbers, comma, and then two numbers again. So it's like 11, comma, AB 12, comma, 13. And then it's like rows on rows of that down.
She's just gonna spend some time looking that over and try and like make any sense of, are these code names for streets? Is this, you know?
Yeah, I think that's probably the first thing you come across, Atira. You're like, maybe this is like house number, street number, like of people, like that. But unfortunately, without any sort of reference, it doesn't. You're just guessing, right, Atira?
Yeah.
Hold on. Or is it? Never mind. Hold on. I thought I had something on hand, but I'll get back to it.
So the three of you at this building, do you want to reconvene together at all, or are you content surrounding this building as it is, or?
I'm going to gesture that he's still inside.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if either one of them will pick up on that, but
I think that they would understand that you're like pointing down at the building. I don't think it's too complicated to understand. He hasn't like left, basically. We've not seen him exit on the outside anyway.
Do you think he could be with the Glomeyes, or?
Well, he just robbed me.
Well, yes, but he could just be... Well, no, I take that back. He had this, which seems frustratingly coded.
Let me take. What does it say again?
It's like double-digit number, 2 letters, double-digit number, and then there's commas between those, and then another double-digit number, and then rows of those, Caliban.
Is there any that stand out?
Not in like a aha sort of way to you, no. Some of them have like you recognize there's a repeating pattern at certain points. There's this 11 AB 12 13 over and over again. I don't know if you guys do have a way of connecting over distance, Clara. Maybe one of you has something, but
Maybe show it to Uther.
Yeah, I
Could you
think
make some
after I
color?
see them both squinting at this piece of paper, I would eventually make my way down.
Remind me, Uther, do you have Thieves' Cant?
I am, in fact, a rogue. Therefore, I have Thieves' Cant.
So, you don't immediately like figure this thing out the moment you look at it, Uther. But as you're reading it, you get some more of an insight into what this is. This is essentially like a date and time, and then the middle column is a location, but without understanding more about the area or how they do things sort of locally, the middle column is a mystery to you. You can work out that it's like the 11th of the month at this time in this place, and then it's like lines and lines and lines.
I'm just going to look at them. If I was local, I could use this. With what I know about the area,
Maybe hand it to Rudolph.
perhaps.
Does one of you want to grab the other two in order to get you all together? I don't know. Obviously, I don't know whether you want to keep this place surrounded or not, but...
I will take a watch.
Okay, so Adhira, you're taking watch of the structure.
Gonna like cross over to the other side of the street, maybe go up onto a building or find a nice vantage point and just sort of hide.
Okay, yeah, easily done. So you've got Adhira in position watching the building from one side.
I say find Rudolph, confirm if this is anything useful, and then gather the others if it is.
In order to call Rudolph, you'll have to use one of your coins. Obviously, you've got a series of them. But...
I was thinking more backtrack out of the area instead of full-on calling SWAT team.
He's not stood in a single location. He is also in the area, so to speak, as is Axel somewhere in the soot stacks. So it's not like you can go back to him, unfortunately, in that regard.
We'll just hold on to it later. Alright, we'll call him later.
Huh?
But I sincerely doubt that normal people just have ciphers in their pocket. Well, don't have just ciphers in their pockets.
Sorry, are two of you watching over the building and one person going to grab the others, or are you gonna breach the building, or what's the... What's the plan?
I think going in there would be stupid.
I also think if we wait, we may see a reaction because he thought he'd taken a coin from somebody. He is eventually going to realize that he is missing 2 articles.
Do you want me to go back and get them?
Maybe. I, it, I don't know really. I'm used to working alone. I don't know how well a group can do. I've also never had to, barge into a house. It's a bit of a different level.
Well, we could opt to not barge in. We could
Well-
slip in from a different vantage point.
I've done a little bit of D&D.
Of course you have. You...
Let's get the others. Let's see if they've found something and we can put two and two together, as they say.
Okay. You all reconvene, I guess, still keeping this rooftop purchase in order to keep an eye on the building that was discovered earlier. You are all gathered back together.
Oh. Well, we found nothing but a very well-meaning waitress. How is it on your end?
I don't know the local ciphers.
What do you mean, local ciphers?
Just going to show the others the paper.
Oh, I get it. Like thieves can, right?
You do, yeah. So you would be able to immediately identify something similar to Uther, that this is a date, time, and then a location, but the location stuff is requires like local context, basically.
Do we have like the thing? What is the actual thing that's on it?
I can type out some of it if you like. Give me 1 second.
Yes, please. AB 12, 13. Yeah, you're right. This kind of doesn't make sense.
DA 14, 14.
That's the first 3 lines.
ABCA. I'm sure it'll make sense eventually. Why are we up on a roof, though?
Keeping.
I'd like to feel tall.
Just so you know, today's is would be this one.
What?
That last entry is the one that results to today. Oh, sorry. The TC should have. Give me 1 second. That should be after the TC.
TC10?
TC10. Yeah.
And what is the current date?
It's the 18th, and it is 1 p.m.
And what do we know
Okay,
that
so
the
the
last... Go on.
well, yeah. So that means you've got a day, a location, and presumably a time. So it's the 18th at 1300 hours. So TC and 10 are something about the location or the action.
Street names. What are some of the street names that we've passed nearby?
Give
Those
me
are... Yeah.
give me an intelligence check. If someone's helping you, you can do so with advantage.
I'll help.
Go for it.
I have no justification. I understand none of the ciphers.
David's just staring at this piece of paper like, these are letters and numbers.
The irony is, I'm actually smart, so I can recognize patterns, but thieves can't. Is just lacking way too much context.
Uther, on an 18, thinking together, you realize it's not street names, but the place where Caliban was pickpocketed was outside of the coffee shop that the other two were in. Taban's Coffee, TC, does make sense to you.
So is this like Is this a list of requirements? You have to hit these locations, or is this... No, this wouldn't have been the person.
Looking at it, I think in this moment, Uther, as you're thinking about it, this seems like a list of times where places are going to be busy